So the Biden administration and their phony spokespeople are getting on TV every day and they're saying, we don't understand why Americans are unhappy. The economy is going great. Inflation is down. Gas prices are down. Jobs are up. Wages are up. The economy is going great. It's booming. We don't know why people are so angry. Things are going great. They're swimmingly. What say you? Why the disconnect?
John, I would say the most important metric that people have is, do they feel like they're getting further ahead or are they getting behind? And if you look under the Biden administration, while prices are up 17%, wages are only up about 13.5%, and so they have fallen behind. They have to work longer, they have to work more jobs in order to generate the same kind of buying power that they had at the beginning of this administration. So the Biden administration loves to send their people out and ignore the things that aren't working in their favor, which is that, yes, wages are up, but prices are up a lot more. And yes, inflation coming down, but inflation merely measures how much have prices changed in the last 12 months. And it just means that they're going up at a lower pace. It's not that prices have come down. Prices still have not returned to the type of levels that we saw upon Biden taking office. And they're not going to, as long as you've got policies that keep putting the government ahead of the American people. And so the last thing that I would point to is something that we call real income. So this is income after you take into account the effects of inflation. Under President Trump, from 2017 to 2019, that number rose about $6,000 per household. Since then, under Joe Biden, it's fallen around $3,000. And so, again, it's a reflection that people's money isn't going as far as it did during the Trump administration. And that's because when you've got government take control of the economy, decide what money is going to be spent where, and then tell businesses they've got to engage in massive amounts of regulation instead of doing productive things, people's money just isn't going to go as far.
So the Biden administration trying to convince people that things are better when they're not. And obviously, this is reflected in the poll numbers. What is driving the economy right now, in your opinion, driving it away, driving it away from believing that Biden can do anything to help it?
Yeah, the thing that's been driving the economy the last many months has been government spending. If you, for instance, look at the job creation that we have had the last many months, it's either direct government jobs or it's jobs that are the result of government spending. So social assistance and healthcare. Those are the three categories where we've seen the greatest amount of job growth. Things like manufacturing, even after you take out the auto strike, jobs in the manufacturing sector declined in the most recent month. So that tells you that the economy that's being driven by consumers is pretty stagnant. It's the government-driven economy where they're seeing growth. But again, if you live in Washington, D.C., if you are a government-centric person, then government growth is a great thing. And that's why people that are part of the Biden White House and part of the administration, they're like, what's going on? Things have never been better. Government's doing great. Well, but for most of the American people who want to obtain their life serving their fellow citizen, working in the private sector, being an entrepreneur, having government come in and greater regulate, greater tax the activity in which you're engaged is not making the economy better. And so that's, I think, the biggest disconnect. And you see it not only, as you said, in the polls, you see it in the surveys. There are two major surveys of consumers, and both of them are a good 20 points down on a scale of 100 relative to during the Biden administration, relative to where they were during the Trump administration. And so that tells you that consumers are not feeling it. And again, this comes back to price levels. The Biden administration thinks it's all about whether or not an American has a job. But as we were saying, if that job doesn't pay for what it used to, the American people aren't feeling very well about it. And so it's this higher level of prices that they've incurred that seems to be driving the pessimism. And that pessimism is why a lot of us think that we're going into pretty stagnant times ahead.